All right, histology. We are going to do one more quick one here. This is mainly just looking at the heart walls and the different layers of the heart wall. It's kind of showing you the heart with some of the pacemaker activity and some of that. Really what we're going to look at is really just the main layers of the heart wall. I'm not expecting you to be able to identify the Purkinje fibers and other stuff like that on the slides that we have. So when you're looking at the heart, there's three main layers to the heart. You have the inner lining of the heart that's open to the cavities on the inside is the endocardium. We have the cardiac muscle, which you've already seen and can identify, which is the myocardium. And then you have a connective tissue outer layer called the epicardium. There is usually a space here called the pericardial cavity, and then you have a actual baggie, this pericardial sac called the fibrous pericardium that surrounds that. We're really going to look at the three main layers of the heart. So endocardium, this is kind of like the endothelium that you'd be on the blood vessels here. So it's that simple squamous epithelium with a thin layer of connective tissue underneath. It's a little bit of areolar underneath there. Like I said, it's going to have some nerves, blood vessels. One of the things we see is a lot of blood vessels in the heart. Valves are generally considered to be part of that endocardium. They are lined with that simple squamous epithelium on the outside of them. You can actually see these endothelial cells right here. So that thin layer of endothelial cells kind of at the arrow there. You can see underneath that a little bit of adipose, that subendocardium, that loose areolar connective tissue. Endocardium on the right of this picture here. And again, we can see some of this now as we look at this a little bit more. You can see the wall of the right ventricle where that area is a lot of cardiac muscle. The epicardium we'll talk about in just a minute here is that connective tissue on the outside. So, and this is showing you the valve with a lot of that connective tissue in there. Those valves have to be able to go open and close, withstand a lot of pressure. Because of that, they have a lot of connective tissue on the inside, dense connective tissue. We've looked at cardiac muscle already. The myocardium is that cardiac muscle. It is kind of spiraled up and around the heart, so it squeezes both from the sides in and from the bottom up. They are connected to the connective tissue parts of the heart, that fibrous connective tissue skeleton of the heart. And we have impulse generating cells that are going to be traveling through this myocardium. And you can see the myocardium right here. Again, it's just cardiac muscle. We've tested on it, so something you should recognize pretty easily. Like I said, the epicardium of this is mesothelium on the outside, and then a layer of connective tissue underneath. Loose connective tissue, some adipose tissue, blood vessels, coronary vessels. You can see the epicardium on this image right here. You can see the myocardium with its striations and that epicardium on the outside. The conducting system, these are specialized cardiac myocytes that don't have any contractile capability. They act in a myosin in them. It's almost like the heart's own wiring system. And it's these cells that generate the impulses that cause the heartbeat and also transmit them throughout the heart. So the heart beats in that coordinated upper chambers, lower chambers, upper chambers, lower chambers fashion. And this just shows you those Purkinje fibers and what they actually look like. All right, so here you can see an actual image of the heart wall. If we're looking at it, the upper part would be the inner part of the heart. The other part would be the outer wall. The bottom would be the outer wall of the heart. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at some of this real quick just to show you some of those distinct layers. So if we zoom in on the inner lining here, well, that's all myocardium, what we're working on right now. But if you look right where I'm putting the pointer right now, that would be that endocardium. We then have, this is all myocardium, that cardiac muscle. If we then take this and drag it down to the bottom of this, and we'll zoom it out just a little bit. You can see some cross sections of some of the muscle right there. But then you can see right along the bottom here, let me just move this over a little bit more this direction. This would be all that epicardium, that outer portion of the heart wall right along there. The other thing you can see on this image, if you look really closely, is if we move our way up a bit here. Actually, I'm just going to drag it up there. You can actually see some of the coronary vessels that are part of this. So this right here would be one of those little coronary artery is not one of the main ones, but some of that coronary blood supply that is taking stuff to the different parts of the heart tissue. So to me, that's what I expect you to know on the heart, the three main layers of the heart wall. That's what I would expect you to know in terms of this part.